Metallica, here they come, the kings of metal.
So fucking what?
Hey, this is Michael Alago from Who the F Is That Guy documentary, and you're listening to Metal Up Your Podcast.
Welcome to Metal Up Your Podcast. I'm Ethan Luck.
And I'm Clint Wells.
And this is episode 122, and we're finally jumping back into the Binge Purge box set and talking about Mexico City.
Yeah, we did Seattle 89 and San Diego back-to-back, and at the time, I was a little overcooked on the Binge Purge era.
Yeah, it was. I think overcooked is a good term for it. Maybe we were a little well done, and we wanted to take a little breather from that. We got into a lot of other stuff, obviously. But it's only appropriate. You know, it's time to take that out of the refrigerator, throw it in the microwave, and reheat it up.
Yeah, we binged, and then we purged, and now we're ready to talk about Mexico City, which I don't know if your memories of this time, but that would easily be the disc I listened to as much as the Black Album. And it didn't come with the video from the show. This was just the 3-disc set. And so when it was finally available to someone synced this up with some video, it was so fun to finally, after all these years, see the actual performance. Although it is interesting to you make up in your own mind what it must have looked like. It's interesting to sort of have that recorrected by what it actually did look like.
Yeah, no, it was really fun to watch again. And as I mentioned on the show before, I think a lot of fans of bands south of America, Mexico, and beyond. Their enthusiasm for music in general, even American music, is so above what our crowds are here. And so it was cool to watch that, see how crazy they're going, and especially all the people in the Snake Pit, too.
Yeah, it's interesting, the sort of primitive version of the Snake Pit. Well, we're going to get into all the details. We'll get you oriented with the Mexico City Binge and Purge, sort of how it dropped and all this stuff. And maybe we even play some clips from the show. And, we'd encourage you all to go back and revisit Mexico City if you haven't in a while. It's a super fun ride, amazing set list, especially for the time. Before we do that, we're going to talk about a little news. Speaking of amazing set lists, holy shit.
Oh, my God.
The boys played Lisbon, Portugal last night to start off the European Stadium Tour. By the way, there's a Metal Tales already up by the time you're hearing this. I talked with our friend and patron, Gerard Neenan, who walked us through the whole thing. But, our phones were blowing up yesterday. The socials were blowing up. Europe's 7 to 9 hours ahead or something like that. So during the day, we're hearing all about the show. I thought for sure that with stadiums that it would just sort of be business as usual, maybe a few different things.
Right, yeah.
I did see earlier in the day that they were sound checking with The God That Failed, but I thought maybe they're just sound checking with it. Maybe they're trying to get it cooked up for S&M2. I was not prepared for what they dropped on us all in this goddamn set list. It's unbelievable.
It was crazy. And, our friend Chris Yurgis was group messaging me and Clint throughout the afternoon. Because I think Portugal is 7 hours ahead of Nashville. I was on Eastern time yesterday. And I was kind of hanging out with my wife in Chattanooga for the show. And then even before, I was walking on stage as he was still texting us songs that they were playing. I was like, oh my God, what's happening?
And you can hear all that on the Metal Tales, but let's just run through some of the surprises. So, first of all, they open with Hardwired, business as usual. And then, unbelievably, oh shit, the set list isn't showing up. I was going to pull up the set list real quick. Oh, I got it right here. So after Hardwired, instead of Atlas, they go right into Disposable Heroes.
Insane.
And then they play Ride the Lightning, which isn't as rare, but it's still rare enough to be a treat. Then we get The God That Failed.
Crazy.
Unforgiven, Here Comes Revenge, Moth in the Flames, Sad But True, Sanitarium, and then we get probably the biggest surprise of the night. They played Frantic. For the first time since the 30th anniversary shows in December of 2011. And then for the first encore slot, we got Lords of Summer, which is just
Crazy.
so cool and weird.
It's so weird. Yeah, you know, I know you and I and Chris were texting back and forth a bunch, like on, you know, speculating why they were doing certain things, or is it just random? They want to change it up. They're nearing the end of the whole album cycle, so hey, let's have some fun. Who knows, man? And I think you're right. We predicted it before, where I think that there are certain songs they've pulled out to maybe ramp up for S&M too.
It's also sort of, in a way, sadly, a ramping down of the Hardwired cycle. We lost Now That We're Dead, we lost Atlas Rise, we lost Halo on Fire, we lost the Confusion / Dream No More slot, we lost Spit Out the Bone, you know, and I mean they only played 3 Hardwired songs, so
yeah, man.
Maybe
I think my hope for this European run is they're just kind of letting loose, and it's going to be a heavier rotating set list in general. Because I mean, there's things that are out of order from the other one. I was watching some clips online today where, like, instead of Seek and Destroy, where the other drum kit comes up, that's where they did Creeping Death.
Yeah,
it's just cool stuff like that. So it'd be kind of cool if they just maybe they did this set list and switched a few around for the next show, but then just kept bringing in random deep cuts. Man, I mean, if they pulled out Frantic, I mean, who knows?
Well, and as all of our listeners will have heard on the Metal Tales episode, so Chad Zamish, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, James's guitar tech, who we've been in contact with to come on the show, he actually fell off the stage, I think, into the snake pit and dislocated his shoulder. And so anyway, we want to send all of our positive thoughts out to Chad for a swift recovery. He's an invaluable part of the Metallica machine. So
yep.
We hope you get well soon, Chad. But according to Gerard, who was at the show, he said that the energy kind of got weird. And it's like, you know, when something goes wrong, especially at that level in a gig, even if it doesn't matter how pro you are, it can take you a minute to kind of get your bearings back, get your confidence back.
Absolutely.
Like sometimes I've hit like a weird clam and then I was just unsure, or like my pedal board didn't work for half a song. And then even though it's working again, I'm just like, my nerves are up for like, it lasts like 15 minutes before you feel normal again. Yeah.
I mean, dude, even at the show last night in Chattanooga, there was a point where all of a sudden in my in-ears, I heard the gnarliest buzz where it sounded like, you know, that sound when, like, you know, a cable's just like halfway unplugged.
Yeah.
And I thought it was my amp, and I'm freaking out, and like I'm finishing a song, my amp's still working, and then we, you know, before the next song, Bear's telling a story. And so I'm kind of turning around, messing with stuff. Then all of a sudden, our monitor guy in my ears talks to me. He's like, hey, one of those mics, the cable's totally fucked up. And so I reached back and kind of jiggled it a little bit, and it went away, and we were cool, but it like threw me off for the next like maybe song or two.
Well, according to Gerard, that happened to the boys. And then there was also another snafu where, so on the set list after Sad, so Chad's already had this accident, and then apparently James came out playing like a weird Jackson guitar. So they're having to make these weird on the fly. Like, I'm sure Chad had to go to the hospital. So I don't know who took over for teching, and it just got all dicey. Then James is unsure if, you know, the whole rest of the show he's worried about his guitar changes.
Right.
So then the other thing that happened after that song, after Sad But True, is Fade to Black was on the set list, but on the set list they posted for Lisbon, it's marked out, and someone wrote Sanitarium.
Yeah,
so I don't,
that.
So I don't know if they made a last minute change, but instead of the Sanitarium pre-tape, they played the Fade to Black tape, and James started to play Fade to Black. There's some band confusion. They noodled through the intro until they eventually started playing Sanitarium. So you got those two things in a row, and just knowing from what I have experienced on stage, I can bet you $1 million they were all rattled. And what Gerard said that I found the most interesting is the song that turned it all around, where the energy got strong again and tight again, was when they played, out of all songs, fucking Frantic.
Crazy.
And I thought about, just metaphorically, the band had lost their way, and what's the first song that they really wrote for Saint Anger? The record that ended up saving their career was Frantic. You know, it's a little bit of cosmic poetry that we couldn't have written if we wanted to.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like fan fiction.
Even the title of the song is what was the feeling probably all around that stage after Chad got hurt. Was, I mean, everyone is fucking frantic. I mean,
well, the Metal Tales episode was really fun, and I can't wait to see. I mean, more will be revealed about what does it all mean? What does it mean that they played God That Failed, Disposable Heroes? What does it mean that they played Lords of Summer? We're not going to really be able to see until we see what the rotating slots are, what they're alternating with. But I propose to you, my dear friend Ethan, that if the set lists maintain this level of surprise, this will go down in history as one of the coolest tours they've ever done in their entire career.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm even after this one show, I'm already jealous of the European fans. And I mean, yeah, if they start pulling out other stuff from Saint Anger, Death Magnetic, other deep cuts from any record, Justice, whatever, load and reload. I mean, we're in my wildest dreams, we were in for a treat if they continue to do this.
Yeah, I agree. And what a treat, too, to get to see Bokassa and, of course, Ghost also. I mean, it's just an amazing bill. Yeah,
absolutely, man.
All right, so as we move into talking about Mexico City, taking Marty McFly's DeLorean back to 1993, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Go leave us a positive review on iTunes. It only takes a second. It's the easiest way to support the show other than telling your buddies. If you've got a blog or a Twitter account, social media, maybe you've got your own podcast, if you give us a mention, let us know. All sorts of easy ways to spread the word. We're a grassroots podcast. It's all DIY. Oh, yeah. We don't have any sponsorships. We don't have, other than our Patreon, we're putting this all together ourselves. So any way that you can help spread the word, buying a T-shirt, wearing the T-shirt, posting about our cover, Our World Blackened EPs, blah, 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 all of that really helps. So if you dig the show, we encourage you to get on the support ride at that level. We got some new patrons, and at the very minimum, we'd like to give them a shout-out. So let's say thank you to Sam Barry, Lee Gruget, Carl Arn, Dahl Swain,
Mitch Hurst, Kat Anchor, and Miguel Aguiar. All right. So thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Amazing.
We're so lucky
we are truly grateful. Like I said, we are truly grateful. I mean, like Clint said, it is a very grassroots production. We do it remotely. Like right now, I'm in Virginia. You're at home, I assume?
I'm at HQ too, yes. I'm getting on the bus tomorrow, however, to go to be on the Real Housewives of Dallas television show.
That's right.
So, I mean, look, I can't predict what's going to happen, but it is entirely possible that one or more of these cougarous Real Housewives will fall in love with the Clint Wells sauce and seduce me. And I might just leave everything, including my family and the podcast, and be living in Dallas in a matter of days. So
it's crazy.
We're gonna see what happens.
This could be Clint's last episode. Who knows? And for those of you listening that think Clint is joking about being on the Real Housewives of Dallas, he is not joking.
I'm not kidding. I'll be happy to give the report on what that's like. I do want to point out Kat, who just became a patron.
Yeah.
She would probably be embarrassed to hear this, but I just wanted to give her some praise because she is the one who endured the horrible, stress-filled, tenuous ordeal of securing the S&M2 tickets for us. Now, we purchased them from her, but she's the one who sat at her computer anxiously hitting the refresh button.
That's
trying to get tickets for us. So she's making this S&M2 ticket giveaway possible. So thank you so much to Kat for that. She's a Metallica hero and a sweetheart, and I'm really looking forward to crossing paths with her one day. I figured out I might be able to go to night 2 of S&M.
Really?
I have a show in North Carolina on the 7th. So I'm either going to try to get to Charlotte or Raleigh and fly to San Francisco, or I might take the bus home. We get home at like 8 in the morning, and I might hop on a plane as soon as I can to get all the way across the damn country in time to maybe organize a little hang and go to the show. So I'll keep everyone updated on that.
Well, the nice thing too about doing something like that is that you're going to the West Coast. You gain 2 hours,
time.
So that's a plus. It's not like living in California. Like crap, I got to get to New York for the show. You're going to lose 3 hours right away.
And then my birthday is the following day, and then I'm going to try to stay and see the Dave Matthews Band at the same arena on the 10th. So that's going to be an exciting. Oh, guess what else is happening?
What else?
Last night on a whim, I bought 2 tickets to see Tool in Birmingham next Tuesday, and I'm going to go see Tool.
Wait, they're playing next Tuesday?
They're playing Tuesday in Birmingham, so I got 2 lower level tickets. I just splurged and got nice tickets. My wife gave me the green light for that, and I have a radio thing that day in town, and then I'm driving down and going to the BJCC to see Tool.
Dude, amazing! Who's going with you?
My friend Derek, who is the other guitar player in Rodney's band. People would be so surprised at all these country musicians like myself who are just total displaced rock kids. Like, he's a huge Tool fan. So we're going to go get our prog metal on down there.
That's amazing.
Here's the deal about the metal tales, because the metal tales are cranking up for Europe. We're going to cover every show. The way you can come be an ambassador for the show you're going to is to become a patron. It's one of the perks of being a patron. You're going to hear a commercial about it later, but I just wanted to plug that real quick. Even at the $1 level, you can come be on the show. And out of the 35 or so shows, we still have about 10 or 12 open that no one has spoken for. So that's something to think about. The S&M2 ticket giveaway, as we just mentioned, is for patrons at the $5 level and up. We're going to announce the winner of those 2 tickets in June. And the last thing we'll say is we put together these pretty cool cover EPs for our patrons. And we have a Volume 1 and a Volume 2. Volume 3 is soon to come out, which means Volume 2 is now available exclusively on our website, metalupyourpodcast.com. It's only $5.98.
Would you look at that?
Honey, please. It's so cheap.
Oh, my God. It's like a bowl of pasta down the street at Luigi's is more expensive.
Come follow us on the socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Stitcher, all that. The best way to get a hold of us, even though we are backlogged maybe 90 emails, is to email us at metalupyourpodcastshow@gmail.com. We read all of them, even when it takes a minute. They don't want to hear this yet again, Ethan, but it's just that we're so busy, which is nice. It's nice to be busy.
It's good to be busy. Hey, someone's got to pay the bills around here.
Yeah, and it's our wives, so.
Exactly.
Anyway, you can email us, metalupyourpodcastshow@gmail.com. We like to hear from the Metal Up Your Podcast family. We read 5 per show. It's usually a good way to get a pulse on what they think about latest episodes. They ask us some questions. It's general talk about Metallica and music. And who knows, some funny shit might happen too. We don't even know what's going to happen in these emails.
Who knows? Who knows?
Let's take it to the email corner.
Let's do it.
All right, you want to start us off?
I would love to. Our first email is from Michael Barron. He says, in my best Torben voice, so I guess I'll try that. Greetings, Clint and Ethan. I just wanted to say that it is absolutely incredible you guys were able to give away 2 tickets to S&M Night 2. I know I'll be there on my magic carpet. The Metallica community never ceases to amaze me. And you guys continue to give back to the fans. Thank you.
Thank you.
He says, also, I was wondering if you guys are planning an episode on the acoustic set / album Metallica did for the All Within My Hands Foundation at the Masonic. I recently dove into the album, and I'm curious when we'll hear an episode on it. As always, thanks again for the incredible show you continue to put on. Much appreciation here. Rock on, Mike B.
You know what? I mean, we could probably even do it as soon as next week.
That would be a fun one to do because they did some cool renditions of tunes.
I'm willing to pencil it in. I mean, we can't promise, but I'm willing to pencil that shit in. What about you?
I'm willing to pencil it in. Maybe not a pen, unless it's an erasable pen.
Right. We're not doing the New York Times crossword puzzle here. Not yet.
No, we're not. Oh, honey, I finished that 2 days ago.
Honey, please. See, Monday and Tuesday are the easiest. It gets hot as the week goes on, baby. Please.
Oh, are you kidding me? It's so hot.
What's a 9-letter word for the love of your life? It's Lucius.
Lucius.
I don't even know if there are 9 letters in Lucius. Luscious. Shit, 8. Honey, he has 2.
Honey, you forgot the
name,
exclamation point at the end.
Oh, but Lucius.
It's Lucius.
All right, thanks, Michael. Rob Watts writes in and says, "What's up, brothers? I can't do it. You do it."
What's up, brothers?
There it is, Hulkster in fucking heaven. Just checking in to say hi. Still on the ride and loving the show. Quick question. I was listening recently to the 2004 Download Festival show when Lars was taken ill / on that cocaine and couldn't play. I found it fascinating that dudes like Joey Jordison and Dave Lombardo stepped in for the night. As pro musicians, I'd love to hear your take on this and how awesome it would be to get that call, but also how hard it would be for a pro drummer to step in at late notice like that. Anyway, thanks for everything, guys. Like I said, love the show. Still a patron and very happy with my decision. Absolutely loved the covers albums you do. You killed it. Keep zoning it. Rob Watts from Brighton, England, New Jersey.
New Jersey. Well, I've watched that footage quite a few times, and those dudes definitely stepped up to the plate and filled in and sounded good. There was a couple little hiccups there, but it's like, these guys are playing these songs based on having listened to the records for so long. So any little minute live change they do, like those guys weren't really hip to. So there was a few hiccups, but overall, I mean, they did a great job.
I mean, I would even give credit to, the Summer Sanitarium tour I saw when James hurt his back. Those guys maybe had a day or maybe just that morning to be prepared. And they, we're talking guitar players, we're talking Jonathan Davis, we're talking people coming out and singing. And it wasn't my cup of tea. But I admire anyone that can, it's rising to the occasion.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Much like a maligned Kiss song from their Hot in the Shade record called Rise to It, which I'm sure, Ethan, you can imagine the euphemism that they were going for when they decided to write a song called Rise to It.
Well, if I had to take a wild guess, I would say that maybe they wrote a song about in sometime in the past, Paul Stanley couldn't, speak. He lost his voice, and so they had other opening artists, much like the Summer Sanitarium tour, rise to it and go up and sing. Am I correct?
Well, it definitely didn't have anything to do with his love gun.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
I think those dudes did a great job, Dave Lombardo. Those were two of the best rock drummers in the world. So they were,
absolutely.
They had a good, they had a good pool to choose from. So, but I must say, and we've talked about this for years now. I think that as good as the drummers are, and as much credit as I give them for stepping in, or if our friend Jay Weinberg stepped in, or anyone, ultimately it's Lars that I want to see behind the kit at a Metallica show.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
Which, by the way, that brings this. Someone wrote in an email. I meant to put it in this email so we could discuss it, but I'll just now say it. Someone wrote in saying that they have a friend in the biz, in the industry, as it were.
Ooh.
And they're basically saying that these sources are legit, saying that Tommy Lee played all the drums on the Black Album. And I just have to say, that sounds like total bullshit.
Well, I think I mentioned this, God, probably when we first started the podcast, but I heard rumors forever that the famous session drummer Greg Bissonette played on it. I heard that for literally years. But listen, it was Lars Ulrich.
Well, here's the deal. It sounds exactly like him, and it's him making all those crashing on two and doing those tom fills that sound like him, that someone would have to emulate him to do. And the drumming on Justice is way harder than the Black Album.
Well, and let's be real. I mean, Lars was still pretty young back then. I mean, they did the Black Album, in their late 20s?
Yeah, I thought they were 30. Yeah,
it was no joke. I mean, even watching this Mexico City, stuff, he's a monster. He was playing so well back then.
But it's even more than that too. It's like, it sounds like him. It would mean a session player, or Tommy Lee in this case, which who gives a shit as far as I'm concerned, learning to play like Lars, and then Lars learning them playing like him, when he can just do it. When they play live, it sounds exactly like the Black Album. And
let's be real. Do you think Lars Ulrich of Metallica would let anybody else play on a Metallica record? No way in hell.
No fucking way. No way. You're right. And I'm not slagging the person who wrote that in. I'm just saying there's no way it's true, and I don't know your buddy or how much cred he has, but tell him that Clint and Ethan from Metal Up Your Podcast say, no fucking way.
And that's the bottom line, because Clint and Ethan said so.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, Seth Catalina writes in, hey guys, my father passed away a couple weeks ago, and the following day, you all read my email on one of the Justice Box Set episodes. Well, our condolences, my friend.
Absolutely.
It briefly cheered me up hearing you all joke and riff on it. I was pretty anxious about returning to work as well, following everything and listening to you on the way. It really helped me ease some of that. So I just wanted to pass on to you all the appreciation and joy your show brings me, so keep up the great work. He also goes on to say, in a couple of the episodes, you guys were talking about the set list during 2004 on the Madly in Anger tour. If I remember correctly, it was when they launched Live Metallica. This is livemetallica.com, where you could start downloading the shows, and they were using that point to promote it as well as a selling point for that tour. I could be remembering all this wrong, but maybe another listener remembers as well. I don't know, actually.
It makes sense. Like, if they were trying to, if they were launching livemetallica.com and trying to steer people towards, wanting to buy, because think about the revenue. There's no overhead. It's all digital, and you can buy every show on the tour. What's going to get people? The people who were there want to buy the show. Great.
Yes.
What's going to get people who weren't there interested in buying the show? Playing deep cuts.
Like, I would love to buy the Lisbon show.
Well, dude, the Lisbon show is already for sale. Like, it's already up. It's already been mixed because it's not Greg Fidelman himself, but it's his team of mixers who are mixing it. So it's not like the early livemetallica.com shit was just straight board tapes. And,
Right.
and just to be honest, they sound like shit. And,
they're not great.
Because board tapes, there's no crowd mics and you lose all the air and energy and it just sucks. What you really need, like when they put out Mexico City, is you actually have an engineering team mix that shit. Where you mix it the way you'd mix a record. You take every stem, every guitar, every tom hit, every vocal mic, and you mix everything together and maybe cover up some mistakes or you cover up some rough segues or whatever. So they're doing that now, and they've already got that show up and running. They've got an impressive team over there.
They really do. I mean, I'm sure. I don't know if they're just sending that stuff, via Wi-Fi back to someone in San Francisco, or is there a team on the road with them? That might be a good question to ask. Some of the crew guys we know.
Well, we talked to the guy in the tuning room that does it, that at least does the tuning room, and he said he's responsible for the shows as well. And he said
okay.
He said it just depends. He said sometimes he mixes it on site, like on the road, and sometimes they send it to a team back home. Just depends.
Oh, okay, crazy. I mean, it depends on their schedule, load-in schedule, stuff like that. All right, so Seth goes on to say, one last thing. My 2-year-old daughter is with me for most of my commute, so she gets to hear all of your glory. We're sorry to your 2-year-old daughter. During one of the episodes, you played Hulkster in Heaven, and she legitimately started crying. Oh, I guess the emotion of that song was too much for her. Conversely, after you played the most recent Lunar Satan track, and she started clapping and said, "Yay!" So there's that. He said, "Again, love you guys, and there's beers waiting for you in Richmond." Well, hey, I'm not far from Richmond, actually. I'm in Roanoke right now, which is gorgeous in May. Well, Seth, thanks for the email, and again, our deepest condolences to your family, man. That's a rough thing to go through, and all the peace to you guys, man.
And I just got to say that we here at Lunar Satan Incorporated, we love our 2-year-old fans.
That's really what you're aiming towards. It's most people can't tell this, but it's a children's album being written. Our target
demographic is 2 to 3 year olds, so it's good to know that that's landing. All right, moving on to Raul. He says, "Hey guys, just listened to Cover Our World Blackened Volume 2 episode. Enjoyed every song on the album. I'm sure Torben wouldn't want you to delete that."
No.
He says, "It's hard to pick favorites after just one listen, but I really like what you did with Motor Breath and No Leaf Clover. Thank you." I'm so glad I found your podcast about 6 months ago when I was looking for some or any facts about Pusshead. I've been a fan ever since. It's great to know there are other people out there as passionate about Metallica as me. That Pusshead episode that we did, I would wager to say, is one of the most comprehensive places that you can find 90 minutes worth of information about Pusshead. When we were researching that episode, it was so hard to find information about him.
It was really, I remember, both of us were researching stuff, and it doesn't do hardly any interviews. He, doesn't have like an official website with everything on it.
But we did a deep dive, and we even played some Septic Death stuff, which is the band he was in. And
that's right.
Talked through.
I wonder if they ever toured with Anal Vomit.
I don't know. We're going to do an Anal Vomit episode too, though. By the way,
we need to.
But yeah, we talked about his work at Thrasher Magazine, all his stuff he did with skateboarding and skate design, punk rock music, of course, Metallica and beyond. And so it's a good resource for Pusshead information, if I do say so myself. Raul goes on to say, "I'm from Ecuador, but I live in Berlin. Also a proud black ticket holder, flying to the Lisbon show today. In fact, the plane is about to take off. So excited to see the boys again. Hope to make 13 stops on the European tour. Wow. I'll keep you posted. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. Keep up the great work. Metal up. Raul from Berlin, Germany, New Jersey."
Wow, 13. That's not an easy task in Europe, man, because you got to fly to a lot of those.
Yeah, well, I know. I mean, that's the dedication of the Met family.
It really is. Well, Raul, we look forward to hearing from you on an episode, man. That's an incredible journey you're about to embark on. All right, Eli Splice? How do you say that last name?
We don't know, and it doesn't matter.
Spleesenhausen.
Spleesenhausen.
Hey, Clint and Ethan. I hope you're having a great day. We are. After listening to your podcast for quite a while now, I finally decided to write an email to you. You're probably drowning in fan mail, but I wanted to try and reach out to you nonetheless.
It's just like Scrooge. It's like Scrooge when he's drowning in his coins. We're just drowning in fan mail.
Exactly. Yeah. Scrooge McDuck you're talking about.
Of course.
Of course. What other Scrooge is there? I stumbled across your podcast thanks to the episode with Jay Weinberg and started to occasionally listen to some episodes. Of course, I decided to start from the beginning. After a while, I've been almost a daily listener ever since, so that's cool.
Nice.
Thank you for putting so much effort and heart into the podcast. As a 16-year-old metal fan, I hardly know anyone who is equally as interested in Metallica or heavier music in general as I am. Listening to the podcast is definitely something I wouldn't want to miss anymore. It's like a fun journey with guys that are in the same music, especially the episodes on the shows you went to make me feel as if I saw the concerts myself. He goes on to say, after listening to your first Load episode, dove in a bit to Andreas Serrano's art and found Clint's doppelganger. I've attached a file with the picture. Maybe I'm hallucinating, but for me, there is a striking resemblance. What are your thoughts on that?
I didn't see it yet. I'm hoping it's not just a picture of the Piss Christ art. It would be horrible.
It's just
anytime people think I look like somebody, it's never like in my mind's eye, I'm like, dude, I found the person you look like. Here's what I'm wanting them to say. Ryan Gosling, Brad Pitt, Chris Hemsworth, George Clooney, young Sean Connery, etc.
Yes, exactly.
Do you know how many times they've said any of those people?
0.
What's less than 0? No, it's usually Elliott Smith. I've gotten famously unattractive man.
I can see a little Elliott Smith though. I don't think I don't think he's unattractive.
Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20.
Ooh, hey.
Anyway, I haven't seen the picture, but I look forward to seeing it. It's called Semen and Blood 7, and it's me.
I know. I've been told I look like I can't remember the actor's name. It's the guy that plays the sheriff on Stranger Things.
Oh yeah, I know that dude. Yeah. I can kind of see that.
I guess. I don't know. Maybe if I dressed up for him on Halloween, maybe I'd fool some people.
That guy was in a really great straight to video on demand, straight to video release sequel to Hellraiser. In the Hellraiser franchise, there's a 5th installment called Inferno, and that guy is the star of it. It's actually pretty good.
Oh, that's cool.
Anyway, sorry, back to the email.
All right, so where was I? Eli goes on to say, I only discovered Metallica last year. Wow. Of course, I had heard them before. Thanks, Dad. But never really paid attention to them. I actually held a short presentation about them in 7th grade, but only listened to the Four Horsemen, Master, and Nothing Else Matters. Finally, I decided to listen to some of my parents' old CDs and fell in love with Load, Reload, and S&M.
Hey.
There you go. Clint loves this. They will always have a special place in my heart. Sadly, I couldn't get my hands on tickets for their show in Munich in 2017, where I'm originally from. Now the fun part starts. I'm currently in Vancouver because I'm doing a high school year abroad. That's awesome. Of course, I missed the Metallica show in Vancouver, being in good old Germany at the time. But to make it even better, I won't be able to attend the concert in Munich next month, the one with Ghosts, since I'll be in Canada. Oh well, the metal gods have spoken. This album cycle wasn't for me, I guess. Lastly, he says, I either walk to the gym of draw while listening to the show. So I'm happy to show you the pieces I created. The original Metal Podcast art has to still be done, but I hope you like this one as well. Metal up and keep rocking, Eli. Oh, sorry, he has a P.S. My iPad wasn't scrolled down far enough. He says, P.S. We ever restock the Metal Up Podcast patches? I would love to add one to my battle vest. We should order those, actually. He also says, postscript. In one of your episodes, you talk about the Grammy Awards in 1999 and the fact that Rammstein was nominated in the same category as Metallica. I'm a huge fan of both bands, and not knowing this totally blew my mind. Thanks for the information. Well, thanks for the email, Eli. We appreciate it, and it's good to hear from our young fans. We blow minds with our information. That's sort of the mission statement of the podcast, to have your mind blown. Well, Clint, at the end of the day, for us, you know what that's actually called? Having fun always. Zoning it. Oh, dude, zone it. We are in the zone. Do you know how much zoning I'm going to do after we finish this episode? I got my skateboard on tour. Hopefully I won't have a Hetfield incident, but I'm going to go tear up Roanoke. My musician friends that do things like ride skateboards or get on motorcycles, I just think you guys are absolutely fucking insane. Because you're going to hurt yourself, and then you'll not be able to play music. Well, here's the thing. I know I could still get hurt if I'm just rolling, but I don't do any crazy shit anymore. I just use it for transportation, or if I go to a skate park, I just cruise. I find a little path to go down, and I just kind of cruise it and just enjoy my time out there on my board. Well, let me just say to respond to that. I don't think James Hetfield was like fucking doing 50-50 truck grinds and ollies. I think he was just cruising too, homie. Who knows? I wasn't there.
Well, I don't think he was a big skateboarder. I think he was just into it, just doing it.
Well,
the difference being you actually know how to skate. I don't think he did, which was the problem.
I bet he did. I mean, he had multiple skate accidents, so it's like he was on them for a while. But either way, I mean, I'm not. Yeah. I know anything can happen. I could break my wrist, and I could not be able to play the show tomorrow night. But I do keep it as safe as possible, and just listen, Dad. I'll skate where I want to.
I'll break my femur when I want to, Dad.
You can't tell me what to do, Dad.
Well, it's that simple, folks. metalupyourpodcastshow at gmail.com. We love hearing from you. Write in. We might read it on the show. And having said that, let's get the heck out of the email corner.
Please.
Hey, it's Clint from Metal Up Your Podcast, and we hope you're enjoying the Metal Tales from the Road series. If you've been keeping up with us, then you already know that we've covered every stop on the 2018-2019 North American Arena Tour, and we look forward to catching up with all of our European friends later this year on the Stadium Tour overseas. And there's more! After the Stadium Tour, we are continuing the Metal Tales series for any Metallica show in the past. Maybe you saw one of the Orion festivals. Maybe you were at the Channel in 1984 and Cliff Burton bought you a beer. Maybe you were at one of the 30th anniversary shows, or you just saw a regular-ass show in North Dakota somewhere. We want to hear from you. Since Ethan and I started Metal Up Your Podcast, we've wanted to find a way for listeners to call in and share their stories. Well, this is it. To make yourself eligible for a future or past Metal Tales episode, please consider joining us on Patreon. For $5 a month, you not only get to come on the show as a guest, you also get both of our Cover Our World Blackened EPs, monthly giveaways like deluxe box sets, rare vinyl, posters, and other goodies. You get early access to our YouTube videos, and we also let you ask our guests, like Ray Burton, Michael Wagner, Hailstorm, members of Slipknot, your very own questions. For what essentially amounts to 2 cups of coffee a month, you can ensure that Metal Up Your Podcast continues to grow in quality and content. For any of you on the ride with us, we love you, we thank you, peace and adios. Okay, here we are, transported back into 1993. I am wearing Jinkos and Airwalks, and I'm listening to Biohazard. And I'm wearing. Speaking of skating, I'm wearing Alien Workshop gear. What are you doing in 1993?
93, man, I anxiously awaiting the release of Nirvana's In Utero. Just got a new, fresh set of kicks. I got some checkered Vans. Pretty psyched on those, and got my Rage Against the Machine T-shirt on too.
Yeah,
just ready to roll, man.
I was going through a big phase of wearing like the Mechanics shirts, and then where your name is supposed to be, it had a band name.
Oh,
you remember that phase?
I do. I never owned any of those, but at this point in 93, I was sophomore in high school, sophomore or junior, and I was at this point I was like knee deep in like Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden.
Oh yeah, same.
Still loving Metallica, but like the whole Seattle explosion, Alice in Chains really just like threw me for a loop, and I was obsessed.
Yeah, because at that point you're rocking Dirt. The 1-2 punch of facelifted Dirt is just so sick.
Oh my god! And also too, I mean, at this point I was already like a lifelong fan of the old Chili Peps.
The Chili Peps, putting the old Abreve on Chili Peps.
Oh my gosh, come on! At this point, I'd already been jamming 2 years of Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Blood Sugar Sex Mag.
Oh, you know that one.
The old RC Chili Pep. Oh, totally. With Anthony Keed.
Oh, old
Tony Kiedis. Fleety Flea.
C. Smith on drums.
And then our homie Jay Frush. So
Jay Frush.
I guess maybe should we talk about Metallica? We don't have to.
We don't have. We could actually just can this episode and just do one on Blood Sugar Sex Magic right now.
I would love to do an episode on Blood Sugar. Shit,
I would. Right now, people are like, "Don't you dare!
Don't you dare not talk about Mexico City. You've titillated us thus far.
We're 30 minutes in, and I want to hear about Mexico City."
Well, here's the deal. So Mexico City, the 3-disc set on Binge Purge, taken from the following dates: it's February 25th, 26th, and 27th, and also March 1st and 2nd, from their Nowhere Else to Roam tour, recorded at the Palacio de los Deportes.
Your accent is lovely.
Did I sound like Antonio Banderas just now?
More like Selma Hayek.
Palacio de los Deportes.
Oh, see.
Palace of what? What does that mean?
What's that?
What does that mean, Ethan? You grew up in California. The Palace of...
Say the word again.
Palacio de los Deportes.
Deportes. The deported? I don't know. That'd be
the
weird.
Deportation Center.
It's a deportation center. It's to send Americans back
Donald
home.
Trump. His Donald Trump's backyard.
It's right.
I wanted to give some credit to some of the behind-the-scenes players. Guy Charbonneau and Big Mick were the engineers. James Jimbo Barton and Kent Matkey were mixers, and then Scott Humphrey did the digital editing. These are all important behind-the-scenes gigs that make something like this come to life, you know, and we owe them a debt of gratitude as much as the boys. It's a 3-hour show, almost. It's 20,
real long.
20 songs, and I just got to think, you know, like a normal show is generally 75 to 90 minutes, and
Right.
you just got to think, they must have known at the time. They're like, you know what? It's the biggest record to date that we've ever done, the biggest tour we've ever done. Let's play the longest, biggest show we can. Let's just really seal the deal on the power of this era, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, because at this point they're only, you know, they're 2 years after the Black Album comes out. They're obviously touring that insanely heavy, as we've discussed. You know, so they're promoting that record, playing a bunch of tracks, there's a bunch of songs from that album, you know, and they still want to give love to at this point, only 4 records they had out before that. So you still have a lot of diehards that are sticking around, obviously, for Justice, Puppets, Lightning, Kill 'Em All.
Right. It's a wonderful show, and you know, like I said earlier, it was a mainstay in my rotating record situation back then. So let's just jump into the set list, and we'll hope maybe be playing some clips too to reacclimate you with the era. And we're still back, just like with San Diego. We're still back in the time when they were opening with Sandman, a rare little opening nugget.
I love it, man. I had a show last night, so I had to watch this first thing this morning. But I just got so excited when they opened with Sandman. I mean, I know it's probably impossible for them to do now. It may not be a good move on their part. But I loved it, man. When they first came out, and the crowd's going crazy, and like the pyro goes. It's just a great opener.
They got those orange pulsing lights on the stage that are just so ominous, and it's such a fun and that intro is just built for that, man. It's built for creepy, dark. You know, as soon as the bomb goes off on the downbeat, it's just like, holy shit, we are at a show. It's like a big cue of like,
yep.
You know what I mean? It's like built into the song to be powerful live, and as an opener, I think it totally works.
Absolutely, it totally works, and like that whole build up just. I love how long it is on record and same live. You know, it's just, you know what's coming, but it's just so the anticipation. Even watching it, just like, you know, on YouTube this morning, I was just like, "Fuck, man, I wish I was there."
And you know, there's so many people that were going to those shows on the wave of Enter Sandman. You know, like that's the song that sort of was, you know, everywhere that year. The last 2 years, that's the song everywhere. So you can imagine a bunch of people maybe seeing the band for the first time, going, "Man, what do you think they're going to open with?" And how about them just opening with that song? There's a brazenness to it, I think. Because even by the time they did the Nowhere to Roam tour, they could have restructured and been like, okay, this song is obviously a fucking monster. They could have started to put it deeper in the set, but I like that they're continuing to open with it.
I couldn't imagine, like, you know, coming online with Metallica on the Black Album, and let's say you heard Enter Sandman and you just loved it, but you never really dove into the rest of the record, and you go to the show expecting, like, all right, I'm gonna, you know, hear some other songs, and then they're gonna close with like this massive song that I love, like, and then they play it first, and then you're like, oh wait, I don't know any of the rest of these songs.
They're like, I guess I'll stick around. Let's see what else is going on over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then they go into Creeping Death, and you're like, whoa, this is different.
I don't like this.
I will say one of my notes I have on Sandman is that immediately right out of the gate, I love and miss Jason's energy.
Yeah, it was formidable. It was definitely a huge hallmark of that time. It's why. It's one of the many reasons why he's so missed. I mean, that's going to be a thread throughout this whole show. I mean, I have notes about Jason in almost every song.
I do too. Yeah.
Another thing that you really get a good pulse for is like this is definitely the era of sort of vulgar, angry James on the tuck you in, warm within line. He says, "I'll fuck you in, warm within."
Yeah, totally.
Which I got to say, the humor of that has not aged great.
No, there's a few moments in this set where it's like, whoa, that's a little weird, James.
He just doesn't seem that nice, and maybe that was part of the vibe. You know, like it's the Black Album. It's heavy. It's dark. They're the biggest metal band on earth. Their heroes were Black Sabbath and Merciful Fate. You know, maybe that all ties into it. I do love the scary guy long sleeve shirt James is wearing with the scary guy on the both shoulders. Yeah,
with the necklace that you have.
Always, and that like wolf fucking face or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And another thing that people tend to forget that I love that's just completely present in this video is way before they cut their hair and became Cuban mafia hitmen in the Load era, Jason had a buzzed head.
Yeah, he was the first one to cut his hair.
And I guess the deal being his hair was so damaged from like all the smoke and pyro from playing gigs that he had to just shave it all off. So there's something kind of metal about that to me. I mean, remember Phil Anselmo forever had a buzz cut or was bald.
Yeah, I think the last album cover he's got long hair on was Cowboys from Hell, I think.
Well, he ended up getting the long hair back for the reinventing the steel cycle.
Right, yeah.
He grew his hair back out long, which was so shocking. It was like, most people go bald because they're sadly forced to.
Right, exactly.
He grew a long head of hair during the reinventing the steel cycle.
Oh, yeah, totally. And speaking of that, I mean, is Hetfield growing his hair back out right now or just kind of getting a little flowy?
It's getting long. No, it's getting longer. I mean, I don't know how you feel about this, but I know that it is getting harder for me to grow longer hair. It's taking longer. I imagine at 55, it's probably not as easy to grow it out, but I think he is growing it out a bit.
It looks, I'm sure he's getting it trimmed, get those dead ends cut, but it'd be such a trip to see James with long hair again after, he never grew it back out. He kind of started to...
around S&M, he had maybe a little bit above shoulder length.
Yeah, but it would be a trip to see him with like long gray hair. It'd be like a wizard.
Well, I mean, we don't have to go too much into this, and I don't really care that much, but...
I don't either, but...
I'm pretty sure he's coloring his hair. I don't think it would be gray. I think it would still be blonde, dirty blonde.
You think he's coloring it? Because it's gray. I mean, there's a little bit of color in there, but...
It doesn't look... Kirk's hair is gray, dude. You think it looks as gray as Kirk's hair?
I remember when they were first promoting Hard. I love that we're on a whole hair segment now. By the way, brought to you by Pantene Pro V, Head and Shoulders.
Yeah.
I'll say this, then we can close with whatever. But when they were promoting Hardwire and he has hair pretty short, it was pretty much he was a gray fox, man.
Well, you know what? Let me look at pictures from the show last night. I'm literally looking at them. There's gray in here, okay, but. It's I'm not a fucking cosmetologist, so I guess I can't really comment with authority.
Maybe we can get a cosmetologist on the phone for an episode just to talk about hair.
Man, think about it. Those dudes know they're going to... Dude, he's going to be on the 5 most giant screens ever on this tour. They got to have some people that are like... Maybe they're doing it in a way that blends in kind of what's happening naturally, but these motherfuckers have stylists and PR people and people that take care of them and make them look good. So, anyway, I guess that's the end of the hair talk.
That's the end of the hair segment.
But I'm with you. I would love to see him rock it long again, and it's going good with the mustache too. The mustache with short hair is hard to pull off.
Yeah, I dig the mustache.
I don't know if this is good or bad, but I have been swimming in the deep end of Metallica. Obviously in my whole life, but especially in the podcast the last few years, I could identify any era of Metallica based on what James's facial hair and hair look like. I could easily do it. I could easily tease apart the difference between Puppets era. I could say Puppets era on the Ozzy tour versus, Damaged Justice just a few years later.
Right, exactly. I know. I'm with you. I think I could do the same thing.
I could tell you I could tell you if Kirk's wearing dreadlocks, I could tell you exactly it's 1994. I can tell you the Death Magnetic era with the goatee, the long goatee and the slick back hair, the greaser guy.
Yeah, greaser era. That was kind of Insane Anger too, a little bit.
Yep. Well, that's kind of that's where it started. We're still on Inner Sandman, by the way.
Yeah. We have this long drawn out hair segment for you.
Hard to believe with hair that now looks this healthy and shiny? I got it with new Pantene Pro V treatment conditioner. Its vitamin-rich formula contains provitamin B5 that deeply penetrates your hair from root to tip, improving it, making it healthier looking and noticeably shinier.
New Pantene Pro V conditioner makes your hair look so healthy it shines.
Try it. I use it every day.
I do want to mention they don't change guitars much in this era. Got Black Album, it's just all black guitars. But this, I did want to say, Kirk is playing one of my favorite guitars of his, which is the ESP Spider Les Paul, which I stood mere inches away from at the rock exhibit at the Metropolitan Museum in New York just a few weeks ago. I love that guitar. Jason's vocals sound great. The thing that works so well about Jason's vocals, like we're going to hear later, he sings Whiplash, he sings Seek and Destroy. He sounds great by himself, but really what it is in terms of Metallica is his voice blends so well with James's.
It really does. I mean, especially on a song like this where, he's either doubling parts or the die chant, you're right. It blends perfectly with James. He's got a lot of grit to it, but he can also hit notes just, totally well.
There are moments in this show where he's not just doing the like rock guy, like the barky guy, where he's actually singing melodically, and Rob, as far as Rob has come, and that's a job he probably never signed up for. He never sang really before. I think he's doing a killer job, but Jason was really a natural, and you can hear what he was bringing to the table beyond just the barky loud stuff.
Absolutely.
So moving on into Creeping Death, we have the iconic intro of James saying, "Fuck yeah, we're ready. You ready, my friends? Creeping Death." I mean, that's as iconic as the Sandman riff to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love like kind of as he's
Creeping Death.
Totally. And I love as he's saying that like Jason does. He's over there like interacting with the crowd, like squirting water on them, drinking from his like sports bottle.
Yeah, totally. His fucking Powerade Gatorade bottle.
It's pretty funny, but yeah, I mean, one of the notes I have on this performance is like this performance totally rivals '89 Seattle for me.
Oh yeah,
I mean the whole thing, not just this song.
I prefer it over Seattle '89 because I love the Black Album so much.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, if you kind of put these in a tie, it's like it's kind of like Seattle '89 plus Black Album cuts.
Yeah,
and it's that good.
Yeah.
The performance is that good, and James sounds that good.
Yeah, I agree. It's weird to me that they released San Diego and Mexico City because they're so similar. I get it in the original box set, San Diego was the VHS, right? Like you got to actually see it.
Right, yeah.
The Mexico City, we just for years, all we could do is hear it. But even in Seattle '89, it's when they play, One and Bells and Creep, it's similar, It's like they were just so tight and all they were really doing was touring. So, but I'm with you. I mean, I think Seattle '89 is definitely a sacred level recording to most fans, but I agree with you. I think Mexico City's neck and neck with it for sure, and it maybe even edges out for me because of the Black Album stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's crazy to me in all of these live, they do it a lot. They released like fucking 100 live videos during the Death Magnetic era, but what amazes me is when they play these songs faster than the recordings.
Right. Yeah.
It's just like, wow, like, they're playing it. It was already fast.
Especially the thrashers. I mean, like, we'll get to certain songs where they played them way faster, and it's like, on drums, maybe it's a little easier to bump it up 10 BPM, but like on guitar or bass, sometimes it's like, sometimes your hand can only go so fast,
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's just the adrenaline of the show, the rote and the routine of being road warriors and road dogs like they are.
Yeah.
In the video, I noticed this is where I started to sort of notice that the video is weird. I don't know if you felt this way, but you never really see the stage. Like, it's a lot of tight close-up shots on, on faces, and they don't show the crowd that much either. So and that's why I was trying to like detect why like I can't in my mind's eye see the Black Album era like stage setup, even though it was amazing, like with the sort of first version of the Snake Pit and those risers that go up, and then the San Diego, they have the second kit set up. I never really could see it in my mind's eye, and it's because I grew up watching that San Diego show, and they never really show it. Like, they don't do a wide shot. It's so weird. There's obviously cameras on on cranes or something, and obviously people running around getting close-ups, but they never take wide shots. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it is. I noticed that. It is weird. Yeah, there's a couple minimal shots of the crowd, but not very far out at all. I mean, who knows? Maybe they didn't intend on making this a full-on. Maybe they were filming like close-up stuff just for promo or whatever. Who knows? And they just didn't think that it would become something that everybody would want to watch. Who knows, man?
It was definitely some sort of decided thing, and it's definitely not like they just gave some of their crew members cameras, right? Like it seems like professionally shot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It does. No, there's one shot. I can't remember what song it was on, where you see a guy like right in front of James with the camera on a tripod. Looks like back then they're a lot bigger, and it looks like a news camera almost.
I like when they're coming out of Creep into Harvester. James encourages the crowd to quote unquote sing loud as a motherfuck.
He's got some good banter on this thing, man. I made a few notes throughout the set list.
Well, I just remember it took me back to being a kid at that time with my little Metallica crew and like learning to play guitar, and all my little buddies that are obsessed with Binge and Purge and shit. Right. And we would talk like that, like just without irony. Like we would just adopt whatever James said, and I totally forgot about that. We would say things like, "Yeah, man, that was cool as a motherfuck." Like that was just part of the way we talked after that. You know? Absolutely,
man. I mean, and I also think, as this whole show goes on, one of my thoughts was, if you were someone that was like bummed out on the Black Album and thought they sold out, fuck off, because if you would have been at one of these shows, they're playing just as hard and heavy as they had their entire career at this point.
No,
they're
totally
not letting up on anything. Everything James is saying, the way he's singing, it's insane.
I think it's even more powerful. I mean, I think that this version of Creeping Death would outpower, and this is kind of a fake competition that I'm making up, but in terms of people with the accusations that you're talking about, I think this version of Creeping Death would outpower anything with Cliff, like on the ride tour, like the 7 Dates of Hell tour or whatever.
Right.
This is them at one of their massive peaks, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, not only in popularity, but also like as musicians too. I mean, they've
absolutely
all grown for years at this point.
I love Harvester towards the top of the set. Like if you come out with some barn burners, Harvester's cool because it's so heavy, but it's got that, it mellows out for a minute, you know, with that intro.
Now we're doing some shit from the And Justice for All album. And I know you guys are ready to sing loud as a motherfucker, so no worries here. You're gonna put your eyeballs on Jason because he's gonna show you what the fuck to do here.
And then, of course, you can't mention this song without mentioning Jason's great chorus BGVs. The Kirk solo is great. I love Kirk's tone in this song.
Yeah, Kirk's tone in this whole thing, I'm pretty stoked on. And we'll get to that a little bit later on other songs. But yeah, I also had another note about Jason. I mean, his BGVs are great in this song, and my note is like, BGVs are great. I miss Jason.
Yeah, I wrote that several times.
Yeah, again, everyone, calm down. No dissing on Rob at all. We're we've already gotten the DeLorean. We're in 1993 right now.
And I think it's got to be okay for those of us with our different era preferences. It's got to be okay for us to, with love and respect to whatever's going on, to say that we miss something, you know?
Of course. Yeah.
I fucking love and respect Greg Fidelman. However, I miss Bob Rock.
Yeah.
You know, I miss what Bob brought out of that band, and I'm not sure Greg can do it. And I'm not sure they're a band anymore that can have things brought out of them by a producer in that way. They're Metallica, you know? Like,
right, yeah.
Are they really going to let someone tell them what to do anymore? I just don't think they're going to.
I think you're right, yeah. I mean, a guy like Fidelman's good because he's there to, you know, get great sounds, get great takes out of the guys. You
Right.
know, I'm sure he'll make some suggestions as a producer does, and maybe kind of like if people are indecisive on a certain part, like he could be the voice of reason. But you know, like the moment where Bob Rock helped pull that solo out of Kirk for Unforgiven, I don't know if that's in there anymore. Who
Right,
knows?
right. You can watch the making of even Death Magnetic, where it does seem like Greg produced it more than Rick Rubin, but definitely in the making of Hardwired, where Greg is telling them like, no, that was too fast. No, let's slow that down. You can see him doing that a lot when he's doing vocals. And have you ever produced a record for anybody?
I have, yeah.
So this, like, dealing with the vocalist is easily the most delicate part of making a record. When you're producing vocals, because you've got to get the good sauce from them, and sometimes the good sauce means performance and not necessarily tone. And you got to keep them in a good mental spot where they're feeling confident, even if they're struggling. And you have to. It's almost like being a therapist. I'm sure Paul Moak could elaborate a lot on this. By the way, Paul just hit us up with a great idea. We're going to do our the Battle of the Loads with Paul.
Yeah.
I'm sure all of our listeners will absolutely love that episode where we're going to see what can be cut down to one unload record, as we're going to call it.
Unload, yeah, that's right. We're going to unload all the tracks that we don't want. But yeah, it might even be, I mean, let's see, one record's 14 tracks, one's 13. It might be a thing where it's just like track for track. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
like,
mean, maybe
do you want Ain't My Bitch or Fuel,
Ooh, I don't know about that. Maybe. We'll have to figure out how to make it work.
We'll figure out something, yeah.
Because we're going to come up into some big problems if we do it track for track.
Yeah.
Because some of that's not fair,
It's not fair, Dad.
All right, so out of Harvester, we get our first of several Kirk doodles. He's doing this cool octave thing. This is where I also noticed that the video is off from the audio.
Yeah, it happens a few times, yeah.
It happens a few times because it does seem like the video is taken from one night, and obviously the recording is from 5 different nights, which is smart, by the way. It's a smart way to do it because you can obviously put the best performances together. This was their first live record, so I can see why they really wanted to make sure that, first of all, it's way deep into the Black Album tour cycle, so that's tight. Mm-hmm. Right. Second of all, they're just covering all the bases by having multiple shows to pull from. I mean, that's what they did with Through the Never. They did 2 shows. And
yeah.
The Kirk Doodles are also what I've noticed, and this may be, we probably even talked about it. I'm just reiterating that I noticed it. They're designed to, for example, in this case, for James to do his guitar change for Sanitarium. Because it's not long. It's not a long feature. It's more like, we need some dead air here for some production shit to happen, so we may as well do a cool thing.
Yeah, he kind of extends the ending of Harvester, just kind of playing that, like you said, the cool octave thing, and then starts to do some little divey dives on his whammy bar and stuff like that. And it's just kind of on his whammy bar. Do you take cash?
I believe I'm going to be buying it.
By the way, a side note in that Wayne's World scene, I'm pretty sure the guy that helps him in the guitar store is one of the guys from Slaughter.
Oh, really? Is it Mike Slaughter?
I think it's the drummer or maybe it's the bass player. I can't remember.
Do you know what? In my mind's eye, like the sort of mental makeup I have of that guy. It's almost like I'm writing it for a screenplay. This is what comes to my mind: beautiful long-haired man.
Yeah,
because he's a beautiful long-haired man. The dude who stops him from playing Stairway, and you gonna keep playing it, man? You're gonna actually buy it today or whatever. Just he's a beautiful long-haired man, right? He's like
exactly.
In the lineage of Fabio is what I'm trying to say to you.
He is very Fabio-ish.
One of the funniest, most amazing, miraculous pictures ever taken. I don't know if you've ever seen this, and I feel like a total evil demon for talking about it. Is Fabio is on a roller coaster?
Oh yeah.
Have you seen this?
Oh yeah, of course I have.
And I guess a bird.
A bird fucking. He's on like Thunder Mountain at Disneyland, and a bird freaking like nails him in the forehead.
It's in his face.
Such a bummer.
And he's like bleeding and shit. Oh my god, it's just so. I mean, it sucks. I'm sad, and that could have been really dangerous. Could have taken a fucking eye out or something, but. It's like him on a roll. He can't get off, and he's just bleeding because a bird hit him in the face.
I mean, that really would be a bummer if that happened to you. You'd be like, what the fuck just happened?
I'm going to look it up just so I can see it. Fabio Bird roller coaster. That was my flow chart for how to look this up. Oh, here it is. Oh, my God. Fabio's close encounter with a bird kind. Oh, my God. Was it a goose? It was a goose.
A goose?
Remembering the day Fabio got goosed at Busch Gardens.
Oh, Busch Gardens in Florida.
It says, this is not a funny story. A person gets hurt, an animal gets killed, and lots of people get splattered with blood. Except that it is funny, just on the sheer improbability of the details.
Yeah.
We revisit the story of Fabio, the goose and the Busch Gardens roller coaster. It happened 19 years ago. At the time, everyone knew the story. Like everyone. Now it's surprising how many people have never heard of it. Wow.
Jeez.
We're going to keep going down this train. March 30th, 1999. One day later, and the newspaper stories would have run on April Fool's Day. People across the country would have dismissed it as a hoax, but it really happened. It was the new roller coaster of the Apollo's Chariot.
Ooh.
He was handsome and brawny with flowing tresses, and his open-shirted image was an icon of romance novel covers. Sometimes depicted as models often unfairly are, as a pretty face with not much going on behind it, and he would take the first public ride on Apollo's Chariot, front row and center, surrounded by ladies dressed in white gowns. Oh, my God, in the pictures you can see. Oh, my God. There was an incident on the ride's first drop as the riders hurtled towards the ground at approximately 70 miles per hour. I like the writer of this piece, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
I feel truly transported to the time and place. A goose who had been nesting nearby flew into the path of the speeding coaster. Best anyone can tell, the goose hit the front of the car, breaking its neck. The bird's carcass then flipped upward, striking Fabio on the bridge of his nose and causing a cut that would later require 3 stitches. No bones were broken, but there was some swelling. Wow.
I'm looking at the photo now too. I haven't seen this in forever.
It says, try to calculate the odds on this. In all the years that Busch Gardens has been open in Williamsburg, the only time a park guest is ever hit in the face by a goose while riding a roller coaster, it's not just a celebrity, but a model famous for his fine facial features. And it happens in full view of the media that the park is called on to serve as witnesses.
My gosh.
That poor bastard.
That sucks. He's probably the nicest dude. And
well,
it's, there's some things that happen in life. Look, listen, he's a human being. I'm glad he's okay. But there's some things that happen in life where the probability of that happening is so small. And when it does, it's just kind of funny.
Well, it's funny and it's amazing. And we're not necessarily laughing at him. Hopefully we're laughing with him.
Exactly.
Fabio. So moving on to Sanitarium. I like that they play the intro. Now they roll the tape with that harmonic and stuff. But obviously back then in the early 90s, they're just playing that shit, which is cool. Yeah,
and I love Kirk's Black Les Paul in this one.
Yep, it's a Les Paul custom. It's so bitchin'. He kind of plays that on the James will play the Ken Lawrence on Unforgiven and One and Fade to Black.
Right.
Kirk's kind of go-to for Nothing Else Matters, Sanitarium, Fade to Black is that Black Les Paul custom. It's one of my favorite guitars of his. Yeah,
or now he'll do like Greenie sometimes too.
Greenie is definitely being heavily featured a lot now, which is so cool.
Yeah, it's very
so
cool.
neat.
So neat. What a fun guitar to play.
The Sanitarium, if you guys are listening at home, this is really where you can really hear some great Jason harmonies in the verses.
Yeah, agreed.
James's vocals sound fucking huge and powerful, especially in the bridge. Kirk Nielsen's solo, it's just, they do this song great.
They do it great. I had a note too about Jason's background vocals. His harmonies were spot on this.
And this was back in a day when they weren't really fixing it up very much. I mean, part of the reason that they recorded 5 shows is so there's not really like, kind of in the studio fixing with tuning and shit.
Right. You don't have Pro Tools back then, right?
No, this is the real deal. So again,
like,
James says
this would have still been recorded digitally, probably to like ADAT back then.
ADAT, yeah.
So it is digital tape, but it's not like, and I think there were early versions of Pro Tools and software editing back then, but it would be a thing where you'd have to like import all this stuff in real time into a computer, and then you could kind of cut it up and stuff, but a lot more painstaking than it is now.
Going into Sabbath True, we get some more James-isms, ready to sing loud as fuck, and he describes Sabbath True as one of their happy tunes.
I love that he also says, "Does it sound good out there?" I know.
Oh yeah, he goes, that sounded good, didn't it? Huh? Yeah, it's like wow, that's funny. Yeah, he's like, I agree, it did sound good.
Yeah, it does.
By the way, I'm James Hetfield, and then he did a big Fabio type flowing gown bow.
And then a pigeon flew down and hit him in the head. One thing I noticed on this tune was the intro hits are a little bit sped up, but then when it kicks into they just lay it back so well on this performance.
And that's one of the things I love about them is that they're not on a click, they're not on a grid, they aren't metronomic musicians. Their tempos kind of ebb and flow and swell and contract, like a living thing. It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's
totally.
so real, it's refreshing for me, especially, these days making music, everything is so perfect all the time. That's sort of going to be a hallmark of this era,
Right, yeah.
Even this Billie Eilish shit that I'm obsessed with, it's just all kind of so perfect and gridded out that when you go back to a Soundgarden record, which I've just been obsessed with Soundgarden the last few months, or go back to watching Mexico City, the way that it speeds up and slows down just makes it real, I can't really overemphasize that.
Yeah, there's certain things back in the day, or even now, it's still around, but like to hear the human element in music is so refreshing sometimes, where everything's so locked in nowadays.
One thing I noticed on this song that I thought was pretty weird is you can see it during the solo, and again, the camera angles are so fucking weird. Because, honestly, dude, I just watched this whole thing, and I kind of feel like I didn't really see anything. It's just really hard to see anything.
It is weird.
But in the background behind Kirk during his solo, you can see like what looks like maybe a 25-inch tube television.
Yes, it's like right behind where the snake pit is.
And I got to imagine that that's there for the people in the snake pit. Because, by the way, in that snake pit, the snake pit's kind of in the middle of the stage. They've really perfected the snake pit, because now the snake pit's in front of the stage and they just bring the ramps around it. But for this era, the snake pit is literally in the middle of the stage, and you kind of can't see anything unless they're right in front of you.
There's a lot less people in it back then than there are now. But yeah, I saw that TV too, and that was my first thought was like, well, when the boys are on the edges of the stage playing to the crowd and then nobody can see them, they can go look at the TV. But it's like an old school, tube TV.
And maybe it's old school tube TV, like as a aesthetic thing, or maybe that's just because it was 1993, and
I think
maybe that was state of the art. They're like, wow, dude, you really get a lot of value for that extra VIP ticket. You get to sit in the snake pit where you can't see anything, but they provide these awesome 22-inch tube televisions that are just so fucking cool.
Dude, the best RCA televisions at the time.
It's interesting to think about, obviously the verses have those echoes. Hey, hey, I'm your life. I'm the one who takes you there. Big Mick or another audio engineer, they're having to hit those delay patches in real time. They're almost performing with the band.
Yeah, I mean, they probably had, rack mounts full of audio effects, back then. But yeah, there's going to be a delay. They're going to run it through on that song and just kind of kick it on when that one word happens.
It's amazing to hone in on that detail and just think of there's a million things like that in any given show that have to work together. Like with the Rodney gig, we just got a video wall that basically covers the entire stage. It's super cool. It's awesome. It makes our show look awesome. But we had to hire we had to basically hire a video wall guy that's coming out on the road with us. And
yeah, totally.
Watching them build that every day and watching what all goes into making the content for it and making sure the content is synced up with our tracks so that our show is copacetic, even at our level of just playing, festivals and theaters and stuff. Those kinds of details are really what make something stand above everything else.
Absolutely. Oh, and those things are no joke, man. I mean, I know I've talked about it before. One of the Kings tours I did, there was a huge video wall behind us, probably the size of one panel of what Metallica uses on the stadium, but turned horizontally. And dude, it'd take a good hour and a half to build that thing, just that one. And
then you got to I don't know if you know what the wall was, but ours is modular. So there are all these little modules that you can, depending on the stage we're on, you can build them into different things. If we're on a smaller stage or a bigger stage, sometimes we'll be able to use 75% of the wall, sometimes 100%, blah, blah, blah. But just thinking of each of those modules, and we have these backup modules that we travel with, but just all of the rigmarole of making sure that kind of production works.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, most of the walls are small pieces,
right.
Maybe
they can be repurposed.
Yeah, 3 feet by 3 feet or something.
Moving on to Of Wolf and Man, my first note is all caps awesome.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, this is for all you animals out there.
Just I love that gah. It's so punk rock almost, the attitude of that intro.
Yeah.
You know, it really translates live, especially when they're playing a little bit faster than the record.
So if Of Wolf and Man shows up on the European set list, I feel like that's for sure they're going to play it at S&M too.
Man, look, I love this song. I love it. I led off this part of the show praising it. I don't want to see it on S&M 2. I don't. That one can go for me.
Oh no, I'm with you. I was just pointing out something that could happen.
Yeah.
I'm with you though. I'd much rather have something else than Of Wolf and Man.
Come on, that one can go. That one can let's get Of Wolf and Man out. Let's get Wherever May Roam out, and let's put in God That Failed and My Friend in Misery.
Yeah, or Unforgiven.
You hear that, Lars? Lars, you hearing me?
Are you listening right now in Portugal?
This is one of Kirk's playing the black Ouija guitar, and this was around the time that he first got that guitar. So, it's fun to see that in its early days. Now, of course, he has several. When we were in Birmingham, he debuted this cool new maroon one.
Yeah,
he's got the white one. He's got the natural wood one. But this is a time when that guitar was brand new, and just the idea for me being fascinated with the occult and stuff. I just love the Ouija guitar so much.
Right. Yeah, it's very cool. One of the notes I had on this was that I feel like Hetfield at this point during the set sounds so strong vocally.
Oh, he sounds great.
Because there's some high notes on this song.
Yeah. And they even pull off, I've always thought that middle part where Jason is saying shapeshift and James is kind of talking and it's growling. I've always thought that part is so weird. Like it's a weird section, right? And it amazes me that they pull it off so well live. It feels like it's falling apart. And then it all comes together. Someone's knocking on my door.
Oh, awesome.
Can you hear that someone's knocking on the door?
Oh, I can hear it. Honey, go away.
I think it's my handyman. Let's leave the phone going, but I got to go answer this.
Okay, go do your thing.
All right, hold on.
Let's all listen in as Clint rips his handyman a new asshole.
Hey, man. What's up?
It sounded like Clint just punched him. And it went quiet. What could be happening? Just gonna chill here in the back lounge of the bus, vaping, bro. Do you even vape, bro? The handyman can. Anytime, handyman, hurry up. Bring Clint back. Clint, I wish you would have just brought your phone with you so all the people could listen to what you're talking about right now. So I want you to mow my lawn and paint my house, trim those bushes, fix my mailbox. And while you're at it, give my car a tune-up. Oh, he's back.
Okay, well, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Wow, sorry about that. This dude talks very, very slow.
It's all good.
I'm like, dude, I got to get back in there and get to work. He's like, well, we could cut this and then we do that. And anyway, good God. Okay, where were we? Do you remember? I don't remember.
We were in the middle of Wolf and Man still.
Okay. I think all I have after the Ouija guitar thing is like, I like how short and sweet the song is.
Yeah, I like how short it is too. I also love, one of my notes is that they kind of jam at the very end. Like Kirk starts doing some cool little chords and Jason starts playing the bass line. Then all of a sudden they go into a Jimi Hendrix riff. I thought it was cool.
Right. Yeah, it's fun. Man, are you going to be able to hear that lawnmower?
I can't hear it right now.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll be fine. I mean, I usually do this episode into an SM7, but I'm using my condenser mic, so
yeah.
Whatever. If we hear a lawnmower for a minute, that's just what happens. This is real life, so.
Hey, we're talking about the human element earlier. We're not recording to a click right now.
We're off the grid.
That's right. Unforgiven.
Well, we get another one of these Kirk doodles.
Oh, that's right.
Before that, and Jason kind of comes in with a bass line, and again, designed because during the doodle, when the spotlight's on Kirk, hello, this is the magic trick of live music. They're setting up James's acoustic guitar, his nylon string guitar, to do the intro to Unforgiven, which I always love that he starts off Unforgiven with like kind of a little bit of like solo noodling.
little like Esteban kind of thing happening.
He's just, you know what he is? He's selling Esteban guitars.
Yeah, that's what he played back then, is Esteban guitars.
Right. Well, we all know his two mentors in life were Esteban and Fabio. So
exactly.
Fabio was obviously unavailable due to the goose incident, but
right.
But Esteban was helping. Esteban does not get on roller coasters. He rarely plays with that kind of fire.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love that he uses an Allen string on the intro to this. It sounds so cool.
It's a nice little dynamic shift in the set from all the chugga chugga.
And you know what? When Kurt comes in with the little lead before the band kicks in, his clean tone was good on this.
Yeah, I agree. You know why? Because it's not overly compressed, and it's got a little bit of verb and delay on it. So it's kind of squishy. It moves around. It's not this dry, clunkety clunk, clamity clam sound. And I don't know why. I don't know why he has that now, and why he thinks it sounds good. I
don't know. Maybe in his in-ear mix, it sounds better to him. But let me just tell you, from the crowd's perspective, it's real planky sounding. Like
I know.
Thickly.
And I don't know if we can attribute it to this, but obviously Black Album era, they've got amps under the stage, and I as much as I appreciate and am amazed by the Kemper technology and fractal technology, and I understand the logistics of touring on an operation that big with a bunch of heavy amps that break down and you got to replace tubes. I get all of it, but I just don't understand why a band at that level doesn't have amplifiers. This doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, it takes a lot of convincing for bands to switch over to amp modeling, but I mean, I don't know. I've heard that stuff in person. We obviously seen the Metallica shows. Everything still sounded pretty damn good. I've heard them in an ear mix before. They sound good. I mean, I'm convinced. I would say this: if I got a touring gig and they were like, "Hey, we're all on Kempers or Fractals, and we're going to buy you one. You have to switch to it," I wouldn't be opposed.
Right.
I wouldn't save up and buy my own. Maybe I would for like home recording. I think it would come in handy for that. Especially, if you're like me, I usually record pretty late at night. Not a good time to be cranking one of my Tyler amps up super loud. But
dude, the thing you got to check out is this new UAD thing called the Aux. And
what is that?
It's a speaker emulator and it's an attenuator. But basically, what it does is you can take your Basement Head, for example, or any of your amps, any of your badass tube amps, and you plug them into the aux, and then it's completely silent. It has speaker emulators in it. You run you run that directly into your DAW, and you're getting
awesome.
You're getting your actual amp tone, but at zero volume. You can crank it up too if you want, but zero cab volume.
I've read up on a few attenuators out there that do that just for home recording purposes, and I haven't heard of that one though.
It's brand new. Literally, they just invented it like 35 seconds ago. So
amazing! Wow, that technology does move fast these days, Clint.
Interesting if the outro, Kirk does kind of like a shred thing on the, like when James is doing those kind of echoey vocals. There's like a moment where Kirk starts shredding. I'm like, that's weird.
It is a little weird, yeah. It's a tough thing to do when you're a band if you have a song that fades out on record. Like, how do you end it live? But the shreddy part was a little weird.
But very good. And then of course having Jason's BGV sauce to do the to do some of those push and pulls and those call responses with James is so cool. And then we get James saying after this, he talks about if people know the Justice record, and he says, "We need you all dancing along, singing along, and of course, fucking along."
Fucking along, yes. So weird and kind of creepy.
I do got to say, one of the highlights of this whole show for me is the Justice medley, and I think the Justice medley is my favorite medley that they do.
So I forgot something, man. I forgot how many people in here have the And Justice for All album. Yeah, you're right. I counted, I was a few off, man, so it's gonna be louder now, I figure. So everyone must know this shit by now, and what we done is took all our favorite parts, put it into one big pile of shit here, so you guys know this shit? Show us one way or another. Dancing along, singing along, fucking along, doing something the fuck along. Here we go! to do overpower the ultimate vanity. Exploiting their supremacy. Can't believe the things you say. Can't believe the price you pay. Nothing can save you. Justice is lost
Yeah, it is pretty cool. The only thing I think is a little interesting, even though they kind of play it twice, because they do Eye of the Beholder, Blackened, Freddy's Insanity, and Justice for All, back into Blackened.
Yeah.
But it is weird that the first time they put Blackened in the medley is the bridge.
Yeah.
And it's cool, but kind of just strange.
And he also, this is the validation. It's the Asian, and he says masturbation on her face. It's like, oh, dude, come on, man.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Can you imagine James doing that now? It'd be so weird, so strangely.
I can't imagine
character.
Anybody doing that now. It's dirty.
I can't even imagine Harvey Weinstein doing that now. The cool thing about Eye of the Beholder is they've only played it 125 times. They last played it in full in July of '89. It's just at this point now, it's been so long since they've played that song that it's just so fun to hear it live. That intro is so killer.
It sounds so cool and heavy, man.
And you're right. Then it's a Blackened. They start with the bridge riff into the Frayed Ends of Sanity verse. Then they do the Justice intro, verse, chorus 2, chorus 2. They let the crowd sing chorus 2. Then there's the Justice solo back into Blackened. And it's after this where James goes, pretty fucking good, huh?
Right, we did it.
James says Jason's in a good mood as usual. I can't really tell if he's like poking fun at him.
I think it's a little bit of that, because he's always like the fan guy. He's always out talking to them and like the positive one. So it's like a little slight dig.
It seems like it a little bit, but Jason, as usual, takes it all in good stride. He's a team player, and this is, of course, leading into Jason's Doodle, which is a pretty big feature.
Oh, it goes on for a while, yeah. I mean, here's the thing for me, man. I mean, maybe when I was at the age I was in 1993, I was super into this. Nowadays, I'm not really into bass and guitar solos in the middle of a band set.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have notes that start to turn into, this is boring.
I think it's really cool when he has the overdrive turned on and the wah pedal every once in a while, because it's very Cliff-like. And he's playing that really fast stuff. I mean, I like that he does a little part of Misery in there.
Yeah.
But his clean bass tone on its own without the rest of the band isn't great.
Yeah. I'm actually okay. I agree with you, but I'm okay with it until Kirk gets involved. Then they start kind of doing a jam. It sounds Sabbathy. It sounds like Hate to Feel by Alice in Chains. And then Kirk does it like... I'll tell you what is interesting about this on the video. You can see it. You can hear it in the audio too. Is Kirk's guitar starts to go out. And you see him look into the madness of the stage setup. Who knows where he's looking, but somehow his tech sees him, and he walks over and makes this seamless change with his guitar tech.
Yeah.
Which really impresses me, knowing that that's not that easy to pull off. Like, his tech, people don't understand, and you can shed light on this too. Your guitar tech, when they're not handing you a guitar, they're doing lots of different things. They're tuning your next guitar, they're rechanging a string if it needs it. But one of the things they're doing while simultaneously all of that is they're looking at you and listening. And it's like, as soon as it happened, the guitar tech heard it and had another guitar ready. It wasn't like there was no time. Yeah. It would just happen so quick and seamlessly.
Yeah, well, chances are he was probably tuning the guitar for whatever next change was coming. And maybe fortunately for him, it was in the same exact tuning. So, and what I did as a tech, it's like I'm sitting there tuning, looking at my tuner, and my eyes are just going up and down, back and forth from the stage to the tuner,
Yeah.
as fast as possible. And then all of a sudden something goes wrong, you can unplug that guitar and run it on stage in a second. So that's probably what he was doing.
My note, though, once Kurt gets involved, is that I literally wrote, "This is boring, wow."
Yeah, me too.
And I think you're right. Maybe when we were younger and we're just on the ride and ready. I mean, it's a good break for James and Lars. And this is, even at their age, sort of, maybe one of the heights of their athleticism while they're performing. It's still a nice 10-minute break for them.
Yeah, exactly. Because these go on for a while.
And this ends disc 1. And I remember I always skipped it, I always just, the end of disc 1 for me was always just the Justice medley. And then disc 2 starts Through the Never. And my notes for Through the Never is that it's tight, it's good. The bridge is awesome with the lights down. And just like of Wolf and Man, a hallmark of Black Album, really, it's short and sweet.
Yeah. My only notes were, I love the song and the gang vocals sound great.
On to the... It's awesome.
That'll always make me think of Paul Moak when we did that Black Album episode at HQ1.
What did he do? I don't remember.
Remember we were. I think it's on the YouTube video or whatever. But where that part comes up in the song, and Paul stands up from his chair. We're all listening. He gets right in the camera and starts singing.
I do remember that. He got excited. That was the only time anyone's ever really just stood up during a show.
I know, it's crazy. That Paul.
Then we get the kick drum 4 on the floor. We get For Whom the Bell Tolls. This song never doesn't kill. Someone throws a cup of beer like over Kirk's head, and he just watches it. And it lands on stage, and he's like, "Okay, whatever."
Okay,
like just
whatever.
Total road dogs, like they've just seen everything.
Sorry, I can't deal with that playing bells right now.
Oh, really interesting. It might have been actually one of the most interesting things that happened to him all night. He's like, I've been playing this Black Album show every day for like 2 years. The most interesting thing that happens when someone throws a beer can.
He's like, whoa, a cup of beer.
Nate, look at it go. Look at that arc. Hey, man, good throw, man. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Sorry, excuse me. Da-da-da-da-da.
Now, I noticed that Jason's wearing a different shirt, which at first I thought maybe they're toggling between different video also. But no, I think we just got a straight up, old-fashioned Axl Rose wardrobe change.
Little wardrobe change while Kirk's doing his solo. He's like, this one's a little sweaty. It's time for a new one.
It's just a little sweaty. Sometimes I get sweaty.
It's like making my bass strap like slip all over the place.
James is also playing one of my favorite guitars of his, the ESP Wolf to Man guitar, or Man to Wolf, where it's a man evolving into a werewolf up the fretboard.
That's an awesome one, for sure.
Easily one of my favorite James's guitars. Then we get another Kirk doodle to buy time, while James goes and gets the old double neck ESP to start doing Fade to Black.
That one's so cool. It's cool to hear the intro to Fade to Black on 12-string.
Yeah, love it. Well, it was written that way and recorded that way.
Well, on the recording, it is a 12-string on the very intro. You're right.
But it's an acoustic.
Acoustic, yeah. On electric 12-string, it sounds really cool.
Yeah, I think it sounds great. Well, I think on the recording... Oh, shit. I think on the recording, it's not a 12-string for the do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. It's the verse chord progression that's a 12-string.
Verse is where that's where the 12-string comes in. You're right.
Kirk back on that black Les Paul Custom. And I have another note that you just never really see the stage. I was starting to get frustrated at this point with, like... It was, like, giving me a headache, all the close-ups of everyone's face and shit. Like, I really want to see the stage.
Well, this is where you see, like, out in the corner, all of a sudden another drum kit rise up from the stage. Did you notice that?
No, because, again, I can't really see anything in this damn video.
It was like, I think the camera was on Kirk, and just behind him, another white drum kit is, like, coming up from under the stage.
Yeah.
Which I guess just to maybe put him in a different position on stage for fans. But then there's no wide shot, so I can't tell where on stage he is.
It's the lack of wide shots. And I get it, this was never meant to be seen, at least for a long time. But watching it, you are kind of like, what the fuck's going on here? After this, James goes into the now classic "Oh yeah" bit.
Yep.
Where they also say yeah, and then he says "Oh yeah," and then they say yeah. It's not going to win any Tony Awards for... It's not quite a Shakespearean monologue. He asks them, "Oh yeah," and they say yeah. They do that a few times.
Doth thou'th say, "Oh yeah"?
Kindly say, "Oh yeah," when I say thine yes, please. Pleases me to say, "Oh yes."
Master of Puppets, what can we say about that? It's great.
My only note is it kicks ass.
It is a bummer that they're playing the short version. I would have been quite bummed. I mean, not bummed enough to like leave or anything or quit being a fan, but for them to only do the first two verses and choruses and leave out that great middle part is a bummer.
I know. That's one of my favorite parts in all of Metallica's catalog.
Me too. Hands down. But I will say, trimming it up, I mean, it's a nice little efficient metal nugget that goes straight into Seek and Destroy. And I love this version of Seek and Destroy because Jason sings the whole thing.
I know, I love it.
It's awesome, man. It reminds me of seeing them when James couldn't play and he sang Seek and Destroy at the top of the show. And it's cool. I could watch a whole Metallica show of Jason singing, to be honest with you.
I know, it'd be pretty rad.
Just for the fun of it.
I love when Jason sings, man. He has so much energy, so much passion when he sings. It's just, I love seeing him sing anytime.
This is a long version. This is like 15 minutes. I must admit, I get bored during this.
I skipped ahead a little bit.
James asks if we mind if they fuck around a little bit. And of course, when you're there, you don't. You just want to see him do anything. As a listener, especially repeat listens, you're like, I think I do mind.
I do mind if you fuck around a little bit.
He says, now that I'm drunk, and I got that guy drunk for free because he gives someone his beer. He says, we're going to have some fucking fun whether you like it or not. And then they do the 20,000-minute seek and destroy call response that I wouldn't blame any Metallica fan for skipping because it's boring. But I will tell you what's not boring is Whiplash.
Whiplash is not boring. I mean, the only thing I didn't love is that Lars gets a little sloppy in the intro. However, to his credit, at this point he's been playing for hour and 45 minutes or longer, 2 hours, and he's doing straight double kick on the whole intro. But it's just me being nitpicky. It's not that bad at all. But it's a super kick-ass song, and I love that at the beginning James goes, I want to see some action. Then he counts off 1, 2, 4, 3, 2, 2.5.
Yeah, he always does that kind of fun count. The thing about that intro, though, with the double kick, it's also he's doing a lot of tom stuff, right?
He's doing toms and double kick, yeah.
Right. And this is another fun where Jason sings sings verse 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Here's one thing I don't remember that kind of blew my mind is the dual guitar solos. They both James and Kirk play a solo, different solos at the same time.
Oh yeah,
it's really interesting solo section. Of course, James sings the last verse, and this ends sort of the main set. Moving into disc 3. We get the first encore. Oh, wait, what does this end the first set? Let me look.
Oh, my God.
Honey, please, he had to look it up. I thought he was the co-host of a Metallica podcast.
Sometimes you just miss stuff, honey. It's okay. Lucius misses his pee pad so many times, so don't feel bad.
You would think after 17 long, wonderful years with Lucius that he would learn to not use the pee pad, but he still uses the pee pad sometimes, and he misses it.
That's okay. It's okay. We don't judge.
Oh, you know what? I was correct.
He was right. So go to Nothing Else Matters, which I love this part of the set. And I haven't watched this in so long. I kept waiting for James to stand up because him and Kirk are both sitting on the stairs.
Yeah, he hadn't
He
hadn't quite perfected his kick the stool out from underneath him on the yeah part of the solo.
Yeah.
yeah. What always amazes me about nothing, we've pontificated at length about how much we love James's guitar playing. Obviously, the solo is a highlight of their whole career. One of the things we've never really talked about that always amazes me when he goes into that sort of long note Ebo sounding outro and he sings another verse over it and he's doing that feedback sound. The note choices are so strange. They're like this weird harmony.
They're cool though.
And they move in such a way that don't like line up on a downbeat with the phrasing that he's singing. And it just amazes me how seamlessly he's disconnected his singing from his left hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's a trip. Yeah, it's like it's a lot easier, if you're singing something that, as you're playing your hand and like let's say your right hand or left hand are playing something similar to maybe the structure or the feel of what your vocal is, but they're both in it's like two different languages happening right there.
Yeah, it's cool, and he does it so effortlessly, so talented. The 1-2 punch of Nothing Else Matters into Rome, I think, is so killer. They start to play the tape with the sitar, with all the lights down. And I imagine at that time, being at that show, that you hear Rome this late in, like after Nothing Else Matters, and you go, oh yeah, I forgot about this song. Like, they
you
played
think it's
so many
winding down.
great songs, and you're like, holy shit, I forgot about Rome. I can't believe they're playing this.
I know, dude. It was a great 1-2 punch. I'm with you.
The crack of the snare on that snare fill into the and Kirk nails a solo. I think it sounds just like the Black Album in a good way. Like it sounds like what we love about the fucking Black Album.
Yep, it's powerful. It's it's a song about being on the road. It's a great live song, and I mean they played it flawlessly at this performance.
And I love that they made it, the recording, as we all know, is the Nashville Fade. And I like that they made an ending for it. It feels good with an ending to have a big sting on the end of it, a big diamond.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we're into the badass marching intro of Am I Evil? But I love what happens after. I don't think I ever knew this when I was younger, but they jam on some tunes, and they do Parasite by Kiss. They do Four Horsemen, jumping. Lars whispers something into Kirk's ear. Maybe play that asshole Dave Mustaine's riff, and they play Jump in the Fire. Because they go back into the Am I Evil tapping part, and then they sort of stop again. It's just sort of this chaotic, loose jamming vibe.
I think it's them. They're probably like all pretty hammered at this point, just like having fun at the end of it. It's, because we're only a couple songs towards the end at this point.
I feel like James is the only one that's drinking that heavy in the show.
Yeah, maybe the other ones were like before the show, but yeah, he was drinking on stage. It's so weird to see him drinking after now having him been sober so long.
Yeah, I agree. My takeaway of that watching it was like, when you're playing a show that long, I think that kind of stuff is just what excites them. It keeps them interested in the show.
Right.
They're just sort of cutting up and having fun with the song they didn't write. It's a cover. It's a song they've loved since they were kids.
Yeah, breaks the monotony of what they're doing.
Yeah,
in, day
it's kind
out.
it's kind of a way to like refuel, to finish the show.
Right.
They do that into Last Caress. He does the cheesy.
Fun.
You want some more, huh? Well, that's good because I got something to say.
Yeah, that's a fun transition.
So I put our cover of Motor Breath on YouTube, just to try to get the word out about the cover EPs.
Right, yeah.
And someone commented, I don't know if it's a compliment or not. It doesn't seem like one. They commented, this guy sings exactly the way he talks.
I see what he's saying, because there's a lot of people that when they speak and then you hear him sing, it's like, oh yeah, I can tell that's Clint or whatever. I mean, I agree with that in a complimentary way. When I hear your voice, I'm like, oh, I know that's Clint.
Well, I don't know what to make of it, because part of me is like, well, of course. I mean, it's no coincidence. It's the same vocal cords doing that thing. But
well, it is. But there's a lot of singers out there that like they speak one way, or even, for instance, especially like singers from England or whatever. Sometimes when they sing, there's no accent all of a sudden.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, no, I think some people's voices are closer in singing and talking voice than others.
Well, to whoever you are out there who said that, I will choose to take it as a compliment.
Hey, honey, it is. Just go with it.
Honey, please, his singing voice sounds exactly like his talking voice. What if you sang like Joyce? I've got something to say. I don't even know if I could do it.
She would sound like Liza Minnelli.
I ate linguine today, and it doesn't matter much to me as long as Lucius is in bed by 9. Honey, please.
It doesn't matter much to me as long as there's garlic bread.
Holy shit. All right, moving on into one. The one tape starts immediately. It seems like a longer intro tape than normal. And the pyro is sick.
Pyro's real cool.
And they play this song kind of the way you might expect it. What can we say that hasn't been said 100,000 million
I would say
times?
this. The machine gun parts were great. Lars nailed it.
This is a kind of tune where I would be A-okay with like this being the end of the show. I mean, they could have ended the show actually with Whiplash, and it would have been fucking awesome. But
oh yeah,
they leave for the next encore and come out and do So What. And what was interesting about So What, I don't know if you noticed this, Lars is over by the crowd, like greeting the crowd and probably spitting on them and shit. And I guess someone threw a flag up, and Lars tries to drape it around James's shoulders, a la James Brown. And James, looking very pissed off, like shoves it away. And you can tell Lars is laughing. He's like, okay, I was just kidding. Okay. Here's what I imagined the unspoken dynamic being. James, look at this funny flag. I'm going to put it on you like James Brown. This is funny. James being like, fuck you, get away. And Lars being like, wow, okay. Meow.
Yeah. Meow.
Put the claws back, James. I'm just having a little bit of fun. But James looks kind of drunk though, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think he was probably pretty drunk at this point.
And a little drunky,
probably
little
fucking exhausted.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and despite whether or not the libation situation, which by the way, I just started a new band.
Heyo.
Good night, Dark Continent. We are the libation situation. We'll see
What's
you
up?
at the Rainbow Room later.
We hope you're fucking along.
Despite you guys were singing louder than a motherfuck. Despite however many drinks he'd had, and despite his grumpy attitude, the performance of So What is fucking tight and awesome.
Yeah, real tight.
And then to just cap off everything, they play Battery, no intro tape, just right into it. Kirk back on the Spider Les Paul, and it is so heavy and awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, what a song to end with too. I mean, at this point, I don't know like how these guys are standing. I mean, it's such a. I know it's maybe the actual show was maybe a little bit shorter because I know this is a combination of shows, but still ending with Battery after that onslaught of songs.
No, well, I mean, they played the same set every night.
It's insane, though. I mean, it's like, I guess at this point, your adrenaline's still going, but I mean, you got to be worn out, man, especially Lars and James's voice and stuff, but they still play it great.
I just got to imagine that they're having meetings about what the tour is going to be like. They knew they were going to be leading up to their first ever live recording, and I think they just really were up for it, and I think they thought, let's fucking punish these motherfuckers. Like, let's play a long, powerful, crazy show that people will never forget. And they did. They did.
See?
Yeah, see? We're going to play a show they'll never forget, see? We'll play the last show they ever go to, see? Yeah. We're going to be the last pair of shoes they'll ever wear, see? A little bit of concrete shoes, huh? What do you say? Yeah.
I was just saying yes in Spanish.
Oh. I thought you were doing like 50s gangster.
Yeah, see what we're going to do here, see? We're not going to end the show with Flash. No, they think we're going to end the show because we've been playing for 2.5 hours. But no, we're going to come up with a little nothing else matters, see? Is he going to kick the stool? Nah, see? He's going to sit on a riser. He's going to sit on a riser, just so, see? Kirk's going to sit over to his left, see?
Yeah, boss, that's right.
Then we're going to start the Web of My Own tape, and they're going to hear sitar. We're going to be playing a sitar. No, see? We're going to be playing it on a tape, see? And we're going to go to I Am I Evil. We're going to do a little bit of jamming, see? Yeah, we're going to play a little bit of Kiss, a little Smoke on the Water, see? It might be the last song we ever play. Except, well, it's not the last song we ever played, because we're going to be playing Last Caress,
boss,
see?
don't forget Jump on the Fire, boss.
Yeah, play a little Jump on the Fire, too, see? Yeah, good suggestion, Scotty. Yeah, remind me to throw you a tenner later. Listen, then we're going to play a little bit of One. They're going to think it's being in the show, see? But it's not going to be in the show, see? Because I'm really so what? It's a little vulgar, but it's good for the kids, see?
Boss, my favorite part is the machine gun part, as you know.
Yeah, we got a jokester, see? We got a jokester in the operation. Yeah, he loves a machine gun part more ways than one, see?
Oh, my God. That was like more intense than Conan O'Brien's version of that.
Oh, my God. Well, Lars, whether being overly dramatic for the show or whether it's true, at the end of Battery, he's literally just laying on his drums in either sincere or mock exhaustion. And I don't blame him. Almost 3 hours of heavy metal music, dude.
I mean, I think it's a combination of both. I think he might be hamming it up a little bit, but he's probably beat to death.
Yeah. And then those motherfuckers didn't, they didn't just go get on the bus and go night-night. They probably partied all night, too.
Oh, for sure. They probably walked off stage, maybe took a shower, got a massage, hooked up with 8,000 girls, and then just drank all night.
They must have been having so much fun.
It probably was, but it sounds also so exhausting and depressing now.
Yeah. I was thinking about, in the country music world, I'm not going to name any names or anything, but there are some camps that are big partiers.
Clint Wells. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's me. And if you're the type of guitar player, for example, which I honestly am, that doesn't really party very much, I like to drink and I like to have a good time. Maybe go out after for a couple of drinks, but I definitely like to get in my bunk and chill out. There's some camps where if you're not the party guy, you'll get fired. If an artist is a partier and you're not really feeling that vibe, you might lose the gig over it.
That's absolutely true.
You got to kind of be down with that. Now, if I were 30 years old on the Black Album tour with those guys, I would be down for that.
Yeah, absolutely. You're 30 years old.
But if you put me into that now, I'm like, you guys have fun. And then, you know what? Honestly, Jason probably was that guy. I don't think Jason was doing that much partying.
Probably not as much as they were, yeah. But I mean, and I'm sure they gave him shit for it all the time. I
was about to say, I think that's part of the huge piece of the puzzle of the disconnect with him and the band.
Right.
Starting with him filling Cliff's shoes that he couldn't fill. They never really grieved well. He was the scapegoat. He was the new kid. Made him snort wasabi. He's also not a big partier. He's frugal with his money. They make fun of him for that. All that stuff,
Just off making sandwiches.
Well, he's making fucking sandwiches, okay?
That's right.
He's making a hella sandwich.
Making a hella sandwiches.
Well, we did it, Ethan. We have closed the chapter on Binge and Purge, and I must say I had a delight with you, as usual.
Oh, it was a great time. I can't wait to revisit it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, in 2 weeks, maybe we'll just do Binge and Purge again.
Why not? Oh my goodness, that'd be so much fun.
Let's say thank you to all of our listeners. We love you guys out there, and
thank you. Thank you. Grazie.
Grazie. I thank you. Yeah, see, we're going to thank our listeners, see? Maybe the last episode they had here, see?
Yeah, boss. I just say thanks, boss.
I love your. What do you call that guy? He's like the sidekick. He's like the hype guy.
He's like the little sidekick. That's a lot. He's like a lot shorter and smaller than the boss.
Oh, big time. He's the Joe Pesci. Although Joe Pesci kind of is a boss.
Yeah, exactly.
You laughing at me? You think I'm funny? Like funny like a clown? Oh boy, when Joe Pesci's getting mad in Goodfellas, I start to get very uncomfortable.
Yep. Oh yeah, great movie.
When Joe Pesci gets mad in the movie Casino, I and you also should get very, very uncomfortable.
Now, when he gets mad in My Cousin Vinny, it's pretty damn hilarious.
Yeah, then you're getting excited because he doesn't know what grits are.
Exactly, or a ute. Or
no, two utes.
He says ute, and the judge, who is original Herman Munster. What is a ute?
Oh, two youths.
Two youths.
Well, listen, go leave us the positive review on iTunes if you want to. You don't have to. And
you don't have to do that.
Check out what's going on at the Patreon because we're giving away 2 free tickets to S&M 2, the show. By the way, sold out.
Yes, totally sold out.
Anything else to say to the lovely people before we get the hell out of here?
I'm about to go tear up some. Where am I again? Roanoke, Virginia. You know, actually, I want to go. There's a pinball museum down the street. I thought it would be kind of cool to check out.
Are you perhaps a pinball wizard?
I wish, but apparently all the pinball machines you can play too. So it sounds fun.
That sounds like a fun shirt to have for real.
I'm gonna see if they have a shirt from this place. I'd love to get.
Well, we love all of you out there in Metal Up Your Podcast Nation, and we'll see you on the flip flop. Peace.
Adios.
If you were our advisor, what would you say? And then I would say, delete that.